Hi, hello, and welcome to our channel. This is Mr. S. Balakumar, Department of Commerce, KCS Kastinadar College of Arts and Science. Today we are discuss about communication and overview. Communication is an integral part of human existence. The success or failure of any human activity is based on how we are communicate. All living things communicate. For example, a baby conveys his or her feelings like hunger, wants, satisfaction, sleep, etc. So that's the way the communication is very important to every living things. Let's see what are the content should be discussed in this video. First of all, we would know about what is communication, and second, characteristics of communication, and then objectives of communication, process of communication, need for communication, and finally principles of effective communication. These are the content should be discussed in this video. Let's move on. What is communication? A communication is the process of exchanging information, ideas, thoughts, feelings, emotions through speech, signals, writing, behavior. So simply they said communication is the information passed over through speech or writing or behavior. And next we are moving to definition of communication. According to Robert Anderson, a communication is an interchange of thoughts, opinions, or information through speech, writing, or signs. And let's move on to characteristics of communication. We have 10 characters of communications there. Let's see one by one. First one is two-way process. Communication is a two-way process. A sender has to transmit the information and the receiver has to give his response or reaction to that particular message. It is from one side to another side. It's also called as a feedback. The feedback is essential for communication. So this is called as a two-way process. And second one, it is ongoing process. So communication is an ongoing process. As long as human activities continues, communication would continues and exist. Next point, all pervasiveness. The pervasiveness and a universal, it exists across various level of management and across different cadres of human assets working therein. And fourth point is nurturing skill. So nurturing skill, the communication nurtures 4 specific skills like reading, listening, writing, and speaking. And next, fifth point is essentiality. The communication is an essential as any other essentials of human life. An individual who is provided with all physical comfort and basic necessaries but is deprived of the right to speak and write, read or listen would become mentally deficient, in other words. So it is essential concept of every human being. And next, sixth point, mutual understanding. So mutual understanding is dispels misunderstanding among the persons, thereby building common informations among the peoples. So it's convey the mutual understanding, not misunderstanding. And next, verbal and non-verbal. Both communication consist of fact, idea and emotion. It is much more than words. Words of tongue, facial expressions, signs, symbols and gestures all carry, which means the communication have verbal and non-verbal activities. Next point, goal oriented. So every concept, every topic has a goal oriented. Even though communication is also goal oriented process, it can be effective if both sender and the receiver are aware of the goal of the communication, and that is goal is the message. Right. Next point, dynamic process. Dynamic process, it involves the participants and the environment dynamic change in the mood and thinking of the sender and receiver influence its effectiveness. And last final point, it is an exchange. A communication is exchange ideas, informations, messages. Already we see in definition. The main purpose of every communication is to promote understanding of the message in the minds of parties to the communication. Parties is nothing but the sender and the receiver. So these are the main characters of communication. Let's move on. Next topic, objectives of communication. So the main objectives are displayed here. Let's see what is this. The first one, information. Second one, morale boosting. Third one, advice. Fourth one, order. Fifth one, motivation. Sixth one, warning. Seventh one, suggestion. Eighth one, education. Ninth one, persuasion. And last, finally, counseling. So these are the major objectives of every communication. Let's see individual points in briefly. So what is information? So the main objectives of communication is information, which regards to ideas and formulations. Each and every concept should be understandable by the information of the communication. And next, morale boosting. Morale boosting is very important concept of communication, because every aspects there is a individual morality is very important. Because of individual morality, they can orderly boosting their individuality. Then next one, advice. So advice is very common in nature. It's also kind of information. The opinion given as to the action to be taken, it's called advice, right? Which is also derived by communication. And order, which is the communication order, are absolutely necessary for organization irrespective of its nature of size. It is a directive to somebody, normally a subordinate or under subordinates. So this order is very important to the communication. Motivation. So motivation is nothing but to motivate the subordinate or superior or any kind of staff members or any kind of peoples. It is very important to include the motivation concept in the communication. Warning. We used to warn the people by the way of communication. Yes. So warn the people, to issue the notice, to direct the people. We give some communication properly. And next, suggestion. Any kind of problems or any kind of situation will arise, we will give some suggestions. It is including the objectives. And education. Education is very important concept, as the higher authorities and professionals are playing a major role in education industry. The main objective of communication to educate the people. So it's the main objective. And next, persuasion. It's include compelling or promoting person to act mostly in a positive way. So positive way, it is very important of every human life. And next, counseling. We used to communicate the counseling people, those who are in the counseling section. It's very important to understand their situation and gives that same kind of counseling. So these are the main objectives of communication. And next, you are moving to process of communication. Under this process, we have several elements are there: sender, message, channel, receiver, feedback, channel. So let's see what is that the main concept in this process. So first, the process starts with sender. The sender send a message. What kind of message? It's any kind of messages is there. And the message conveyed as a channel. So channel means any kind of channel, through writing, through speak, or through phone call, through internet, any kind of channels, medias. It's called media, right? And then next, that message go through the receiver, and the receiver clarity is very important. What sender says the correct message, and correct message will be sending to the receiver, and the receiver give feedback to the sender through communicate channel. It's also through phone call, or through writing, or through the email, or to the internet. These kind of orders should never interchange, but the order will comes under sender, message, channel, receiver, feedback, and channel. And finally, the feedback go to the sender. Between, in this process, we have some barriers or noises. Some barriers will be added in this barrier. We will discuss in next video this very important concept in the communication. And also, if the sender sending the message is called as encoding, okay, and the receiver sending the message or feedback, it's called decoding. Okay, so these are the main process of communication or functions of communication. Next, we move on to need for communication. Why we need communication? Simply we said it's for transferring information, but in the technical word we says we have 5 major parts of needs. Number 1, size of enterprise, and second one, smooth industrial relation, and third one, technological advancement, fourth one, personal asset, and fifth one, better human relation. So these are the major 5 concepts of communication need. So let's see the first one, size of enterprise. So size of enterprise, when an organization grows in terms of size, a network of branches, where there are several thousands of people working in different parts. Efficient communication is required among the different branches and between head office and branch and among person across. So it's differential managerial hierarchy. So size of the enterprise, we need communication. If a small, for every small size also and big size also, we have used to communicate. And second one, smooth industrial relation. So once we enter into the industry, it is very difficult to understand the concept of industries. Whichever, the more transparent an organization functions, smoother would be its industrial relations. Periodical inter-department meeting. So in this industry meetings, there is periodically the interdepartment meetings will be arrived, and that way the communication should play the important role in the smooth way of industrial relations. And technological advancement, it's very important point to communicate. In advanced science, a technology focuses on organization to keep its employee posted of recent trends in their hand. So it's very important. They are updating knowledge, they are updating their skill through the technology, then the communication is definitely needed. Personal asset. Yes, communication is a personal asset because it improving communication skill for success of every human asset. It is more relevant to the personal intervents, which means the communication skill to perform their job effectively. As a person will communicate correctly, then the job effective correct way to communicate their merits and demerits to the superiors. So this is where the communication is needed. And last one, better human relation. So already we discussed about the communication needed. It involves employees in making through various participative firm case and management, quality circle, suggestion schemes, and we have better human relation means individuality into the group oriented or the team oriented. Just very important concept to understand the communication of the people. Yes, so these are the basic needs of communication. And let's move on to last topic, principles of effective communication. So already we saw that communications objectives, needs and process we are discussing, which is also called 7 communication principles, which is 7 C's. So let's see what is that in the particular, not a particular order. First one, clarity, courtesy, correctness, concreteness, conciseness, consideration and completeness. So these are the major 7 points. Let's see one by one. First one, courtesy. So courtesy is nothing but is consideration. It means preparing every message standing into your shoes of the sender has to emphasis with receivers. The sender has to emphasis with the need, aspiration, emotions, be thoughtful and appreciative. Use expression that convey request, right? So the courtesy is very important to every individual as a principle of communication. And then clarity. So clarity, any clarity of ideas give means to the message. The message of the sender should be understood in the same sense and context in which it's transmitted. So what the message is conveyed, that message correctly conveyed to the receiver. It's very important. The clarity, it's very important as a effective communication. And completeness. Completeness is communication must be complete to avoid any confusion in the mind of the receiver. Incomplete communication leads to assumption and guesses and consequent delay in the further action plan. So the sender has to ensure the correct completeness of the conversation. And next one, consciousness. The consciousness is nothing but the message to be communicated should be brief. The volume of information should be just right, neither too much or too little. Lengthy letters may not result in desired actions, which leads to the following suggestions help in shortening communication. We used No lengthy letters, lengthy sentence. We need short and sweet, which is no more important in consciousness. And next one, correctness. The term correctness is communication means using correct format, grammar, punctuation, spelling, etc. So its basic concept is correctness of effective communication. Concreteness. Next effective principles, concreteness. So concreteness means specific or definite communication. We should use denotive words rather than connotative words. Denotive words, which is, for example, use specific fact, which is particular information. 70% is 70%, say 70. And clarity should be correct. Concreteness should simplify the words, not in lengthy words, right? And last one, credibility. So credibility means the receiver accepts the statement of the sender without any doubt. But this does not happen immediately. It is a long drawn process wherein the receiver, through constant interaction with the sender. It's very important. So these are 7 C's, which leads to basic principles of effective communication. Now you will understand what is communication, what is principles of communication, what is objectives of communication, what are the process of communication, why we need communication. Thank you so much for your concentration. We will see you on next video. Thanks again.